Welcome to Pilgrim Lanes in Haverhill, Massachusetts for the final match of the Pro Series playoffs it's the concluding event of the 2010-2011 season. And this match is a two-string match. You're seeing the first string. And this is going to feature Craig Holbrook and Chris Boisvert. Craig and Chris have both had some outstanding matches en route to the final here, and I'm expecting this to be a terrific match between the two of them because both of them have been on fire. Craig is coming off a come-from-behind win over Mike Morgan in the semifinals, and Chris Boisvert is coming off a really close win. He won by 3 pins over Sean Morrison in his semi. So Craig starts off just the way he ended the semis with a spare, and he's got a spare 8, and he's got another spare in the second box, so he's off to a quick start. And here's Chris Boisvert. Chris bowls out of Pilgrim Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. And Chris is well known probably to most of you who follow the Pro Series because he's one of the top bowlers out here. It's no surprise to see him in the final. And Chris knocked off Jeff Surratt in the, I think it was the second round earlier today. He had a 170 game in his second game of the two-string match to put up a 296 total, which was good enough to beat Jeff Surratt. And that's no small feat because Jeff, as you know, is one of the top couple of 2 or 3 bowlers in the game. And Chris starts off with a spare, converting that 247. So he moves over to lane 3. And he will fill that spare with a 9. He's got solid 1-3 pocket hit, and he leaves the 8-pin with a piece of wood in front of it. He should be able to make this without too much trouble. And he's got it. So matching spares for both bowlers in the first 2 boxes. That brings up Craig Holbrook in the third, filling that spare that he had. He's back on lane 4, and he has got 7, leaving a 3-5-6 triangle. Craig bowls out of 20th Century Lanes in Hyde Park in the Friday Night Pro League. He also bowls out of Park Place Lanes in the Sunday Pro League. And Craig is also well known as being a member of the Maria Subs team that won the World Team Tournament a couple of years ago up in Bangor, Maine. And Craig has had many TV appearances. He was on the Channel 5 show many times, and the Comcast Candlepin Challenge, and some of the other TV shows that were on over the years. I believe that Craig leads, he led all active bowlers on the WCBC Pro Tour in titles. And he has continued right where he left off in the Pro Series with just a couple of solid seasons last year and this year. This year he wrapped up a fantastic season, being named Bowler of the Year. And in fact, he wrapped up the Bowler of the Year title in only the 7th event of the year. Oh, and Chris Boisvert with a great bid there at that 3-6. He nailed the 3-pin, but just punched it straight back. And with that wood behind it, it's really kind of surprising that he didn't get that spare. You could see his disbelief there. Let's take another look at what happened on that spare. He just hits just about dead center on that 3-pin, and the ball is deflected. It either bounced over that wood or may have been deflected slightly to the left so that it just didn't hit the wood. And yeah, I thought he would probably get the spare with the wood, but not so. That gives him 47 after 3. And back over on lane 3, he nails the 1-3 pocket. Nice solid hit, leaving the 4-7-8 triangle with no no playable wood. He's got a piece of wood way over on the right, but it's not going to come into play. So he's got a clear shot at the triangle. And again, he hits the object pin, but it just hits it too full and punches the 4 straight between the 7 and 8. So it'll be another open box for Chris Boisvert. Chris is a veteran of also a number of TV appearances. He was on the Channel 50 Stars and Stripes show, and fairly certain he also appeared on the Comcast Candlepin Challenge. And he's been an outstanding competitor in the World Team Tournament as well. And Craig Holbrook has dropped 7 in the 5th box. He leaves a 3-6-10. And let's see what he can do with this. Actually, it was a 3-6-9-10. It was a 6 drop. Couldn't quite see the 9 pin. And he came up a little bit too light on the 3 pin. And ends up with a 9 box. That gives him 67 through 5. As he comes back over to lane 3 and delivers. And it's an 8 drop, and very similar to the last frame, but this time he's just got the 3-6. Now if you notice, Craig for most of his career stood much further to the right than he does than he has been doing in the last year or two. He's developed a different line to the pocket coming out of that left corner, and I think one of the reasons he did that is to because he finds that to be more effective at the World Team Tournament up in when it comes to Halifax Fairlanes up in Canada. So, and there is a strike by Chris Boisvert in the 5th. That's going to give him a chance to take the lead. Let's take another look. Pretty robust hit in the 1-2 pocket, and the 5 is the last pin to go. So that gives him 66 with a strike up in the 5th. Just getting back to Craig Holbrook, it's kind of remarkable that somebody with as storied a career as he's had over the years would still after years of competition be able to make a significant improvement in his game by making an adjustment on the lane. And I know he's been working on that for some time, and obviously it's working really quite well for him, to the tune of Bowler of the Year. And so Chris Boisvert has 8 on the strike. That gives him a 7-pin lead, 74 to 67 through 5. And now he's working on the 1 and 10 here. And he just takes out the head pin, cuts it in front of the 10. So it's still a 7-pin lead, 83 to 76 through 6, as Craig Holbrook steps up in the 7th. This is, as I mentioned, a 2-string match. That's the case with all of the matches in the Pro Series playoffs. In the format, it's a tournament featuring the top 24 bowlers in the seasonal point standings on the Pro Series Candlepin Tour. And the way it worked was that the top 8 seeds got a bye in the first round of the playoffs, while the other 16 started bracket match play, and that reduced the field to 16, and after that it's been straight bracket match play, 2-string matches. We have quite a bit of footage of the earlier action, and that's going to go up a little bit later in the week. Meanwhile, Craig Holbrook has an 8 drop in the 8th, and he's got the 7-8 with a piece of wood in front that might, yeah, it worked nicely. That's a nice shot. Let's take another look at that one. Craig covers the 7-pin with the plank, and then the ball takes out the 8. Nice shot there. That gives him 95 with a spare up in the 8th, and Chris Boisvert steps up with 83 through 6. And Chris pounds the head pin going right through and punching out the spread eagle. So he'll just try and 3 and C. Try to get one side at a time. And he gets, well, that was a 3 and C. He got 3 and got a pin coming back over off the wall, and it took out the 7, but that's as far as it went, so he's got the 2 and 4 remaining. And he takes those out cleanly for 10 bucks, giving him 93. And so he picks up a pin against the 9 bucks by Craig Holbrook. So he's got an 8-pin. Chris Boisvert has an 8-pin lead, and he stuffs the ball in the 1-2 pocket right there, but leaves a 6, 7, 8. In candlepin bowling, sometimes no good deed goes unpunished, and that was a case in point right there. He's got a plank in front of the 7 and 8 that might enable him to take a shot at this spare, but it's pretty, it's a low percentage shot, there's no doubt about it. Let's see what he can do. Wow, great bid right there. He took out the 7 and 8 with that piece of wood, and the ball came back and went in front of the 6-pin. He had a good chance to make that. Really almost made a spectacular shot. And he'll take a 10, so he's got 103. That cuts, let's see, his lead is now 8 pins minus whatever Craig Holbrook gets on his first ball, and he fills that spare with 5, so Craig is still down by 3. 103 to 100 through 8. And the second ball goes by the head pin, taking out the 9. So he's got the 4 horsemen left to clean up on his last ball. And he got everything but the head pin, so it'll be a 9 box. And Craig goes over to lane 3 to finish up the first string. He's got 109 through the 9th. So he's kind of leaving the door open for Chris Boisvert to open up a bit more of a lead. And once again, Craig misses the head pin. This time he's got 6, leaving the 1, 3, 6, 8 piece of wood that might help him get the 8. And a good bid there. He came in pretty solid on the head pin, but wasn't able to get the 6-pin. And he just goes by it again. So that'll be a 118 game for Craig Holbrook in the first string of this Pro Series Playoffs final match. And here's Chris Boisvert for his last 2. He gets a splash right there, and he has a really difficult split. He's got a 410 with a piece of wood in front of the 4 that might be usable. I mean, he's going to have to try it, but not sure exactly what he's going to do with this. A couple different ways he could play it, but I don't know what the best way is. And wow, what a great shot right there. I guess that was the best way to play it. Let's take a look at it on replay. Chris goes over to the left, just extreme left end of that wood, and knocks it all the way across. It takes out the 4 and goes all the way across in front of the 10-pin, and then comes off the wall and nudges the 10-pin down. So that's a spectacular shot right there in the 9th. That gives him 113 with still with a ball to throw in the 9th. And he adds 7, leaving a 136. So he's got an 11-pin lead right now, 120 to 109 through 9. And he's got a good chance to put another spare on the board and stretch out his lead against Craig Holbrook as we come to the end of the first string. And perfect. Just ran it down perfectly in the 1-3 pocket. So that gives Chris Boisvert a 130 with 1 ball to roll to Craig's 118. So he's going to try and fill this spare with as many as he can to extend his lead going into the second and final string of this match. And kind of a light hit in the 1-2 pocket, and he drops 6. So that's going to do it for the first string of this Pro Series Playoff final round match. And it's after 1 string, Chris Boisvert 136, Craig Holbrook 118, and we will be back shortly with the second and concluding string of this Pro Series playoff final.